What is up, everybody? Matt Moda here to give you some NFL player prop bangers. We're talking Week 9 Monday Night Football, Chiefs versus Bucks. I'm going to have two plays for you guys to lock in for this Monday Night Football game. Of course, both of these plays are going to be plus money bangers because that is what we do here. All we need to do is hit one of these plays and we're at least making money, but we would love to go 2-0 to really have a great night. Depending on when you're watching this, the Sunday slate might have already passed. So instead of doing a recap on how Week 9 has gone so far, I'm just going to do that at the end after Monday Night Football. But to give you a recap of the entire season, things have been going pretty well for us on the season. We're up over 23 units on the year. We're up over 25% ROI on the year as well. We've been having a ton of luck with these ladder plays that we've had. Let's hope that by the time you're watching this, we climbed a bunch of ladders on Sunday and that we're ready to have a good Monday Night Football game. Unfortunately, we're not doing any ladders for the two plays that we have on Monday Night Football. It's a weird game. Bunch of injury news on the Bucks side for the receivers, even including not even Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, who are definitely out, but including their backup receivers like Jalen McMillan, Sterling Shepard. And then on the Chiefs side, if they could have a game go where they just run it the entire time, that's kind of the new normal for the Chiefs. So I don't want to take any juicy ladder plays in this game. So just wanted to kind of give you guys that. But we can get right into these plays. So the first play that we are locking in here is Keke Coutee, 60 plus receiving yards, plus 140 odds at ESPN Bet. As I hinted at earlier, these wide receiver injuries for the Chiefs have just been crazy. I already mentioned that both Chris Godwin and Mike Evans are out for this game. Godwin's out for the year. Evans, this might be the last game he missed, or he might miss next week as well. But regardless, those two are out. And then they have backup receivers, Jalen McMillan and Sterling Shepard. Both of them are currently questionable dealing with hamstring injuries. And then even one of their backup running backs, Bucky Irving, is questionable with a toe injury. So just a ton of unknown, a ton of receiving options that are either definitely out or might be out, or if their play might be hampered for this Bucks team. The one player that I have not mentioned yet is Keke Coutee. He is definitely healthy. He's probably going to have a ton of work go his way in this game. And, past 2 weeks when all these wide receivers have been hurt for the Bucks, Keke Coutee has been very, very good. He's a type of player where you can't look at his season-long stats and make any meaningful judgments because, for basically the entire year, at least the first 6 weeks of the year, he was either the third or fourth in the pecking order in terms of targets, which has not been the case recently. The last 2 weeks, he has 181 receiving yards and on an absurd 10 targets in each of those games. Looking at the last two games, he's got 8 and 9 receptions as well. I'll be honest, I really waffled between the receptions and the yards play. So if you wanted to go with receptions, I would not stop you. I would not talk you out of that at all. I ended up going with the yards because Keke Coutee has a pretty decent ADOT when looking at tight ends, and he does a pretty good job. Like his yards per route run, yards per target and stuff are pretty good for a tight end, which is why I opted to go with the yards. But again, if anybody watching this, you like the receptions better, I'm not going to disagree with you at all. It's kind of a 50-50 flip. And honestly, if you wanted to do a half unit on each receptions and yards, that wouldn't be a terrible idea either. Either way, looking at these last 2 weeks, which I understand isn't perfect because it's a 2-week sample size versus the entire season. But again, this is the sample size we have with these receivers for the Bucks hurt. Coutee has been very, very good for the Buccaneers. Target rate of 21.1%. 2.26 yards per route run, 9.06 yards per reception, yards per target. Very, very good for Keke Coutee. And just to kind of give you the context there, if you extrapolate that out for the entire season, that would be the 5th best target rate of all tight ends, 3rd best yards per route run, and 3rd best yards per target, again, on the entire season for all tight ends. And if you look at the entire season, he's actually has the 3rd most targets, Keke Coutee does. So he's been very, very good this year, and now he gets a matchup against the Chiefs defense that is essentially a tight end funnel. All teams play defense a little differently. They all give up different things. The Chiefs, what they like to do is give up yards to the tight ends, which is another way of saying they don't give up anything to the wide receivers. Now, maybe it's a little bit different in this game because the Bucks really don't have any healthy wide receivers to worry about. But in general, the way the Chiefs play defense is they don't give up anything to wide receivers, but they leave a ton of opportunities for tight ends. So with that thought in mind, the Chiefs currently allowing the fewest receiving yards per game to wide receivers, but the most receiving yards per game to tight ends. It is the exact definition of a night and day difference for the Chiefs in terms of how they play wide receivers versus how they play tight ends. And tight ends have had some just obscene performances against the Chiefs. I mean, we had week 1, Isaiah Likely, 111 yards on like 11 on 9 receptions. Mike Gesicki, 91 yards against the Chiefs. Kyle Pitts, he had 59 yards against the Chiefs, which that might not sound like a lot, 59 receiving yards, but his over-under was 39.5. So he had 20 yards more than his over-under was priced at. And then a couple weeks ago, George Kittle, 92 yards. His over-under was 57.5. Again, it's by design. It's how the Chiefs want to play defense. They give up a ton to the tight end. They basically say, you know, if your tight end is having a bunch of production, you're probably not scoring a bunch of points, and it's hard to blame them because the Chiefs haven't lost a game this year. But regardless, I love this play on Keke Coutee. Next up, other side of the field, Travis Kelce, 7+ receptions, plus 160 odds at bet 365. So we're taking a tight end for the Bucs. Let's take another tight end on the Chiefs. Travis Kelce, you might have heard from him, might have heard of him. He's been phenomenal ever since Rashee Rice went down. First 3 games of the season, when Rice was fully healthy, Kelce, the most receptions he had in those 4 games was 4. He had 3, 1, and 4 receptions in those 3 games. Then Rashee Rice went down, and Travis Kelce's production has skyrocketed since then. He's had at least 7 receptions in 3 of the 4 games since Rashee Rice got hurt. And even if you go back to last year, if you look at like when Kelce's production started to decline, it's almost an exact inverse correlation with when Rashee Rice's production started increasing. And then that continued to begin this year, where Rice was incredible and Kelce didn't do anything. It kind of makes sense just when you think about it from like an offensive, logistical kind of thought process. Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce occupy similar parts of the field. Rice is not a deep down the field wide receiver. They get him the ball running these crossing patterns in space, occupies the short and middle part of the field. Kelce, as he's gotten older, that's also the type of area on the field that he also occupies. Kelce is less like on crossing routes, more so like finding the hole in the zone, finding the soft spot, getting the ball, and then going down. But it's no surprise that Kelce's production has started to rise now that Rashee Rice is hurt. Now, the Chiefs did add DeAndre Hopkins. Yes, he's going to get more and more acclimated in the offense. He's going to get more and more targets go his way. I don't really think that's going to come at that dramatic of an expense of Travis Kelce. I mean, definitely not the same way that Rashee Rice did. Last week, Hopkins was playing for the Chiefs. Kelce had 12 targets, had 10 receptions. So I'm personally not really concerned in that regard. And this is another situation where we're getting a great matchup for tight ends against this Buccaneers defense. You know, that's part of the reason why we're backing both tight ends. Is not because I wanted to have a tight end heavy day, but if you just look at the defenses, both of them give up a lot of production to the tight ends. I already talked about the Chiefs allowing the most receiving yards per game to tight ends. The Bucs are not that far behind. You look at the entire season, the Bucs are allowing the 3rd most receiving yards per game to tight ends. But if you isolate that data since week 3 until now, the Bucs are actually number 1. So from week 3 until now, the Bucs have allowed the most receiving yards per game to tight ends. So Kelce doesn't go down the field as much as he used to. That's why I think the receptions are a better play for him. That's why I chose that over yards. It would be a real twist in the knife if Kelce had a bunch of yards, like had a big play, bunch of yards, but not 7 receptions, whereas Keke Coutee gets like 10 receptions for 59 yards. That would not be fun. That's not how I project things to go. Either way, I think that these kind of short passes for Kelce, 10 yards on the field, 6 yards on the field, is going to be available against this Bucs defense, just like I think the big play is going to be available for Keke Coutee. I know last week was National Tight End Day. Let's hope that just for one more game, we have another nice national tight end game. And that's all we got. So 2 plus money bangers for Monday Night Football for you guys to lock in. Make sure to like the video, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And then the last thing that I'll mention is the last thing I mention at the end of every video. If you're interested in having all the plays that I have sent to you, you can get that for only $5 a month. It's part of my Dub Club subscription. If you're unfamiliar, Dub Club is just a service you can sign up for to have people like me send plays to people like you sent to your phone via text, email, or Telegram. The way it works is the plays you see me give out for free on YouTube and on Twitter, those are the same exact plays that go out on Dub Club. I just send them out early. So like as soon as I decide what a play is, the first thing I do is send it out to Dub Club. So for those of you that don't always care to watch the YouTube videos, or you don't always have time to watch the YouTube videos, or by the time you watch this, the odds have changed. Like for my Sunday NFL player props specifically, the odds kind of dramatically changed over the course of the weekend. I unfortunately can't help that. So if you watch the YouTube videos and the odds are different, I would point you towards the Dub Club. If you're not interested in that, you don't care if the odds are a little bit different, I totally understand. You can still get everything, all the same plays for free on YouTube and on Twitter. So follow me there at Jedi Modi. And that's all we got. I appreciate everybody for watching and have a good one.